Welcome to an all-new episode of St. Louis Presents.
Hi, Debbie. How are you?
Good. It's an exciting time in St. Louis. Cardinals are back in the NLCS, and the Blues are opening their new season at home. So,
go team.
Yeah, things are good. Coming up on today's show, we're going to talk to two other St. Louis institutions that are non-sports related.
Non-sports. I'm going to be talking with Beth Rose from the Miriam Learning Center. And they deal with kids with disabilities. And, you know, it wasn't all that long ago. When I was young, I don't think most kids were ever diagnosed.
No, that's true. And getting it diagnosed early is so important because you think about how many kids struggle with school.
Get this figure. The number of students between the ages of 6 and 21 in the United States diagnosed with learning disabilities, almost 2.5 million.
Wow.
So that's significant.
It is. And if you can help early on, it's ideal. So we'll talk more about that. But also, Dance St. Louis, definitely an institution bringing some of the most amazing dancers from around the world to St. Louis each and every year. And they're kicking off their new season as well. And once again, just a fantastic array of very diverse types of dances. So if you think you're not into dance, you would be wrong.
Because you've kind of had that experience too.
I did, definitely.
Yeah.
I didn't think I liked dance, and then I started going to Dance St. Louis events. I'm like, wow, this is really
Now
fantastic.
she won't stop moving.
Sit still. Well, all that and more is coming up on this edition of St. Louis Presents. Stay with us. Is widely recognized as the leading dance presenter in St. Louis and the Midwest. And the new season is just getting started, so here to tell us more about the exciting lineup this year is Artistic and Executive Director Michael Uthoffa. Thanks so much for being here.
Debbie, thank you very much for having us here.
Now, I'm sure you heard me telling Steve earlier that my experience with dance maybe is not unlike some other people who I never really thought I was into dance and just started taking my daughter to a couple of the Dance St. Louis events because she wanted to go, and I found myself absolutely loving it.
I think most people will do that. If they see it, they will be fascinated by it. They might not understand it, but there's something that attracts them to it. And what I always tell people, I mean, don't condemn it if you haven't seen it. I mean, if you go and you don't like it, okay, I'll respect that. But not to like it because you haven't seen it is not the right excuse.
Well, and there's so many different kinds of dance that Dance St. Louis brings. So if you know, maybe you're not into ballet, that's fine. There's so many other kinds of dance.
There's everything. No, but this season it's fantastic. We just did our first series of dancers, New Dance Horizons, with 3 new works, 3 choreographers, 3 of the local dance companies. Dirty Dancing is coming up in the beginning of end of October, which is a Broadway show that we pair up with the Fox, and it's at the Fox Theater.
And that's an interesting thing, too, because I know last year you partnered with the Fox Theater for Evita, which is one of my favorite musicals, but now it was, you know, even more dancey because of that involvement. So let's just go over the schedule here, and I know we've got a lot of fantastic pictures because, let's see, you mentioned New Dance Horizons and Dirty Dancing.
Right.
So this is certainly a classic movie that, you know, we all love. Nobody puts baby in a corner. How is it going to be? How is it going to be a little different with the addition of Dance St. Louis?
Well, I don't think it will. I mean, this is a show that comes out of New York, and it goes all over the country and all over the world in its format that it is. So it meets all the high standards that both the Fox Foundation and the theater and ourselves set for ourselves. So the audience is going to get the best show close to New York City that they can get.
And speaking of New York City, coming up after that, most of your performances are at the Two Hill Performing Arts Center, and Dance Theater of Harlem is coming back. I know they've been here before, and people love Dance Theater of Harlem
is one of those incredible companies that was born out of the Martin Luther King and all the movement that we had in the 60s, and had a real fast climb for 20 years and then succumbed to the finances. And then now it's been brought back alive with Virginia Johnson at the helm. And it's one of the most dynamic, diversified companies in the United States. So we're really happy to bring them.
And I mentioned the partnership with Evita
Right.
last year, and if people loved that, they'll probably absolutely love in January Tango Buenos Aires.
Well, I mean, they were here about 4 or 5 years ago, and they were a huge success. And this time they're coming back, but they have the entire idea of the tango surrounding around the life and the history of Evita Perón. It's not anything to do with the play Evita, but it does take her where she was, what she did, and bring it back to life. So it has a real beautiful, sensual, exciting quality.
Now, we mentioned ballet. Aspen Santa Fe Ballet is also a really interesting company coming back.
Aspen Santa Fe is one of those incredible companies that were born in the United States that tell you everything that's right about having a dance company and creating an artistic entity. It's a small company out of Aspen, of all places, and partnering with Santa Fe. They've got maybe 10 dancers, and they create some of the most exquisite works you've ever seen with incredible dancers.
Yeah, amazing. Something that I think, if you want to involve your kids who think they don't like dance, stomp is always popular because there's lots of noise and stomping, but yet so highly entertaining.
And not only that, but every time they come, they find something different to do. So, I mean, if you watch it enough, you'll know what it is. If you only watch it once, you don't miss anything. It's incredible.
One of the things that I absolutely think people need to know about is each spring, you bring the Emerson Spring Into Dance Festival back.
Right.
And this is probably the best bargain going. I mean, the tickets are very affordable, and it's like Dance-a-palooza. Explain for people who haven't been.
Well, what I decided that I wanted to do was to create an awareness of the many facets of dance, that you can enjoy dance with the jazz format, the hip-hop format, the ballet format, and the contemporary format in every way. And by creating Spring to Dance and bringing 30 companies to perform in St. Louis on 3-day span, we give you sort of like a potpourri of dancers, none of them lasting more than 15 minutes. So there's a little bit of a commercial thing in that you're not going to get bored. If something is not to your liking, there'll be something coming up right then and there. But more important, what's happened is that the audience that has come has been fascinated by the more abstract and the more obscure things. And we feel that that's the kind of thing that's going to lead to a larger understanding of dance, and therefore something like Compagnie Cafique, that's also coming next year, which is a hip-hop derivative company out of France with Brazilian dancers that are out of favelas and out of capoeira. All that leads to this an incredible event, which is Spring to Dance, which is only also $15.
Now, we are very fortunate to have you in St. Louis and with Dance St. Louis because I didn't really know that much about your background because Michael Uthoffa sounds very German, and then it turns out you're actually born in Chile, and your parents founded the Chilean National Ballet, and you're a ballet dancer yourself, correct?
I am. I was, but I started dancing late. I was a jock at heart. I mean, I didn't care about dance. But then I met a young woman who was a dancer, and that changed my life. I looked at dance from another point of view, and I came to New York to become a dancer because my parents were very famous. And yes, I became first a modern dancer, then a classical ballet dancer, then a choreographer, then a director, and now I'm an executive director. And I love what I do right now because allows me the pleasure to show everything I've learned for 50 years and share it with everybody.
Now, do you feel like dance may have, things go in peaks and valleys, but there's so much more attention on dance with younger people because, as you mentioned, with kind of hip-hop dancing, but also shows like So You Think You Can Dance, where people get to see, wow, people are doing unbelievable things.
There is an awareness of it, greater than there ever was, but it's not translated on them coming and experiencing the theater live in a performance that is not otherwise than 45 seconds of highly exciting dancing. And so I'm not so sure that all of this is the right thing, that's happening the right thing. But they are aware. They do perform all of these kind of contests that you see of groups, doing dance wars. It's fantastic.
Well, we've got to throw it to Steve, who's got some news headlines for us, but I would encourage everyone to check out the new season of Dance St. Louis, and we've got information for people of how they can get in touch with you and buy their tickets. So Michael Uthoffa of Dance St. Louis, thank you so much for being with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you very much, Debbie.
Let's see what Steve has to tell us.
Thanks, Debbie, and I love Dance St. Louis. I guess it's because I don't have any dancing talent. I can barely line dance, but there you go. Well, the city of St. Louis is giving minor traffic offenders with outstanding warrants a second chance to address their tickets. More than 220,000 arrest warrants have been canceled, and those offenders have until December the 31st to schedule a new court date. Those affected will receive a postcard in the mail with further instructions. If a postcard is not received, individuals can search the city's municipal court website for their name, date of birth, and zip code. New court dates can be scheduled at the municipal court at 1520 Market Street or by calling 314-622-3231. Boeing recently announced plans to build parts for its 777X commercial aircraft at its composite materials facility in North St. Louis County. The move will create up to 700 jobs here in St. Louis. Engineering work is already underway in St. Louis for the new jetliner, and design work is expected to follow in the coming months. Construction jobs to prepare the facility may open as early as the end of the year. Production is slated to begin in 2017. October is National Fire Prevention Month. Many potential fire hazards go undetected because people simply do not take steps to fireproof their home. Basic fire safety tips include having a working smoke alarm outside of every sleep area, designating 2 escape routes from each bedroom and practicing them regularly, and teaching the stop, drop, and roll technique, also educating children about matches, lighters, and candles, and how to store them in a secure location. October is also Learning Disabilities Awareness Month, and joining me now is Beth Rose. She's the head of the Miriam Learning Center, a comprehensive one-stop solution for children who have complex learning challenges. And welcome, Beth. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
How do we really define what a learning disability is? I mean, that's a big umbrella, isn't it?
It is a big umbrella. So children who have average to above average cognitive abilities, that means the ability to learn, have difficulties in reading, writing, or math. So one of those things, and they're significantly behind other children that their age.
You know, Debbie and I were talking earlier about, I know when I was younger, I think, I'm just guessing, back me up, that most people with these disabilities were not diagnosed. Maybe they were considered lazy or stupid sometimes?
Right. I think that the awareness has grown a lot, and we have become good at being able to identify these children through testing. Because when you walk into a school, and you walk and you look into a classroom, you're not going to be able to pinpoint those children that they have learning challenges. And the only way to really do it is to be able to do it by testing.
Well, Beth, you mentioned a couple different areas: math, reading, and writing. So would you have to have deficiencies in all those areas to have a learning disability, or could it just be one? Like I always did pretty good in everything except math. Could I have had a learning disability?
Right, and typically children don't have problems in all those areas, although they could. Typically it's just 1 or 2 areas that are affected.
So I could have been undiagnosed, because I got A's and B's in like English and history, and I always got C's and D's in math.
Right. Right.
So, but how badly can this affect people? Does it affect their careers, their happiness in life later on? You
know, statistically, children with learning disabilities are more or less likely to graduate from high school. 76% of those people are unemployed, which, affects their ability to have income and maybe more on Social Security and other types of things like that. And then statistically, kids that are dropouts are more likely to be involved with like the criminal justice system.
Well, Miriam is having a gala event coming up at the Chase.
We are. On Saturday the 18th, it raises funds for scholarships for our school and learning center. We provide over $770,000 for scholarship aid for students to be able to attend our school and to be able to also attend the learning center.
I guess I want to sort of end on a positive note, though. Just because a kid has a learning disability doesn't mean they can't be happy and successful later in life. In fact, there are examples of very successful people that do have learning disabilities of one type or another.
Right. Michael Phelps, Whoopi Goldberg. I mean, the earlier that you're able to identify that a child has a learning disability, the better you can remediate it.
Well, are we testing for this in schools, yes or no? And just briefly, what should parents do if they suspect maybe their kid does have a learning disability?
Right. That is really the only way that you can be able to identify if they have a learning disability. So they need to come in and get testing, IQ testing and academic testing, and then we need to be able to rule out a lot of other things like depression or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, anxiety, those type of things. They can come to Miriam and get testing.
All right. That's Beth Rose. That's who we've been talking to from the Miriam, and it's the School and Learning Disability Center, too.
Absolutely.
So we thank you so much, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Because, I have Debbie. I don't know if you realize it or not, but I thought maybe I did have a learning disability because, like I was telling Beth, I was really good in subjects, but not good in math. And that's the thing. Most kids,
Right.
at least when I was young, weren't diagnosed.
That's why we do this for a living.
Right.
No math.
It's the only job I could get. It's true, though.
It is true, but it's serious. You want to make sure that you diagnose those quickly.
I flunked. My mom was a math major at Washington University and used to do math for fun. And I failed every math course. In fact, I took Math 101 in college twice and then got a tutor, and he said, you just can't do it. So it's not hereditary, I guess.
No, and we definitely would encourage people to get their children tested if they even think for a moment there's a learning disability involved. We hope you've enjoyed our show this afternoon. We've learned a lot of great things. This is just another episode of St. Louis Presents.
We want to thank our guests and you at home for watching.
Don't forget, check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube as well.
See you next time.